Assalamu alaikum. I am Khaldun Al-Rumayh from the science team at Hevolution Foundation. We thank you for your interest in applying for this grant opportunity. In this presentation, I will take you through some of the important information and the application steps. I recommend that you read all the other materials we provided with the grant call. These include the request for application, the instructions for full proposal submission, the frequently asked questions, the principles for human subject use in aging research, and the principles for animal use in aging research. If you still have questions, please email me using the email I provided here on this slide, and I will get back to you with an answer. Towards the end of the year 2022, we published round 1 of this grant program, targeting researchers in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And we ended up funding 11 projects as a result of that call in that round. And towards the end of 2023, we again published a call for grants in Saudi Arabia in our continuous effort to encourage the fields of aging biology and geoscience in the country, and to introduce a new KSA-based investigators to the field. In this round, we are again allocating up to 10 million Saudi riyals to fund up to 20 projects in the field of aging biology and geoscience. Please note that we are not accepting clinical trials at this stage, and funding will be made available to investigators with independent labs in Saudi Arabia. This grant funds aging biology research and geoscience research. Aging biology is a basic science approach. It is the study of cellular and molecular mechanisms which underlie the aging processes. Some examples of aging biology research are studies on the hallmarks of aging, or biological topics such as stem cell or fibrosis and their relations to aging, or organelle-specific studies such as mitochondria and aging, or microbiome studies and the relationship between the microbiome and aging mechanisms. Aging biology studies are typically done on system models such as in vitro system models, yeast system models, or invertebrates. Geoscience research, on the other hand, is a translational science approach, which aims to convert our knowledge and findings from aging biology research into clinical practice, with a goal to maintain or even improve the way we age and achieve a longer health span. Examples of geoscience research include proof of concept studies, preclinical studies, validation of markers for diagnostics and treatments. Geoscience studies use materials from human subjects, human cells, human tissues, or involve mice or others in the experimentation. Human subject research includes the use of data or records or biospecimens from human participants. It requires adherence to ethical standards, and institutional review board approval is a must before you start your research. We expect you to submit an IRB approval of your human subject-related research if your proposal is selected for funding. This means that there is no need to submit the institutional review board approval with this application. But if your proposal is selected for funding, then we will ask you to submit the IRB approval. An important consideration for the human subjects use in aging research is to distinguish between effects related to a chronic disease or chronic diseases and the effect that is related to aging itself, especially in older adults. We provided documents called Principles for Human Subject Use in Aging Research, explaining this concept, and we provided some more resources in that document. Please read the info in the document and the extra resources carefully as you plan your experimental approach for projects involving human subjects. Similarly, research involving animal use requires adherence to ethical standards. The Animal Care and Use Committee at your institution need to review and approve your animal research before you start the experiments. If you submit a proposal with animal use, then we expect you to provide animal committee approval for your proposal if your proposal is selected for funding. Please note that an IRB approval does not grant animal use approval, and you need an animal committee to review and approve the project if your project contains animal use. There are several considerations for animal use in aging research. We also provided a document for that. It is called Principles of Animal Use in Aging Research, which details these considerations. Please read it carefully. And also read the information we provided inside the documents, the resources and references. This information should assist you with planning your experimental approach. For example, the ideal age for mice is 4 to 6 months for young mice, 10 to 15 months for middle-aged mice, and 18 to 24 months for old mice. These are general guidance. Avoid mice that are too old or too young, and avoid testing the effect on one group of mice. For example, testing the effect on only old mice. Also, avoid combining age groups together. Again, more details are mentioned in the document called Principles for Animal Use in Aging Research. Please read carefully and understand, and come back to us if you have any question. Other considerations include using mice or rats that are specific pathogen-free. Certain viruses infect rodents in colonies. Make sure that the animal house where you keep your mice or rats conducts periodic check for infections, and make sure that they keep records of these checks and their outcomes. It is important to avoid the effects caused by infections in your experiments. Also, do autopsy or gross necropsy on your experimental animals, especially on old ones. Old animals may have tumors, lesions, major skin cuts or infections. Generally speaking, discard any animals with evident lesions or infections from the experiment and discard the data that is associated with those particular animals. As you plan your proposal, involve a biostatistician to help you calculate the number of mice and age groups needed for your study. Ask the biostat expert to perform the power analysis for maximum rather than minimum statistical power. Some of your animals may die as you go along, and that will help you a lot in accounting for that. Be careful and distinguish correlation from causation. For instance, if two traits go up during aging, that could be merely the effect of aging itself on both of them correlated together. And it does not necessarily mean if one trade goes up, it causes the second one to go up as well. So keep that in mind when you interpret it, you interpret your data. If you are wondering if preliminary data are necessary for this application, no, it's not necessary, it's not obligatory, but you can use them in your application if you have them. Please make sure that the data you are providing have a clear link to the science and approach you are submitting in your application. The data also should have been obtained by the principal investigator or the co-principal investigators and must be differentiated from the supporting evidence as you collect it from the literature. In the next few slides, I will explain some important application requirements to help you understand in more depth what we mean by these requirements. For the application requirements, we provided the request for application, the full application instructions, and information in the frequently asked questions. Please read them. However, in the next few slides, I will focus on some of very important concepts. When you start your application, you will see the title page, and it includes the principal investigator information. Please provide only the information for the main PI in this page. The main PI is the contact PI. Some projects may have more than one PI, co-principal investigators or multiple principal investigators, but one of them must be the main or contact PI, and only this one should be included in this page. The PI is responsible for the design, conduct, and direction of the project. The PI is accountable for the project. If the project has more than one PI, co-PIs or multiple PIs, then they are equally accountable, but a multiple principal investigators plan must be written and submitted with the application using the template we provided. Obviously, the PI or the MPIs are considered key personnel, but also there are other key personnels. These are the co-investigators. Those are individuals who play a significant role in the project, but do not have the same responsibilities, engagement, or accountability as the PI or multiple PIs. Please list all PIs and co-investigators, and all must provide a Biosketch using the template we provided. And we will talk a little more about the Biosketch in the coming slides. The other important requirements are detailed in the instructions for full proposal, but these include a detailed budget and justifications for the budget. Make sure that the budget as detailed is matching the justifications you provide in the text. Emphasizing this because in the last round we encountered some applications in which the detailed budget does not match the budget justification. Also, you need to describe the detailed sub-award budget if you have one. The sub-award budget or the sub-award is a contract which is made by the institution of the PI and the institution of the other PI or investigator who will need a significant amount of the fund to be transferred to them in order to conduct part of the work. If your project has the need to transfer significant funds to another institution, we ask you to submit a sub-award agreement or contract made between your institution and the other institution. However, remember that the maximum sub-award amount allowable is 50% of the grant funds. Use our provided sub-award template for the agreement and submit it with the application. As I said, there are other important application requirements, so please review the documents we provided with this grant call to ensure you covered all these aspects before you submit your application. Okay, I made this slide to clearly differentiate between co-investigators and collaborators. In the last round, we saw some applications using these two terms exchangeably. A co-investigator, as I explained, is a key personnel who plays a significant role in the project but does not have the same accountability as the PI or multiple PIs. While the collaborator is a researcher whose expertise complements that of the PI on a very specific task. You need to submit a letter of support from both, from co-investigators and from collaborators, with the application. But there is a caveat. If the co-investigator is in another institute and a significant work and budget is needed to be transferred to their institute, then you must provide a sub-award contract using the template we provided, and you need to submit that with the application. However, a collaborator only needs to provide a letter of support, and they are usually they are not involved in the compensation. They don't use significant budget in their work. Both are different from a consultant. A consultant was also sometimes used exchangeably in last year round. A consultant is someone whose opinion is needed for one or more aspects of the project, and usually they are paid by the hour. And this is a direct agreement you have with the consultant, direct contract and direct billing, and you don't need to show that with the application. So the request for application has the general rules for the budget and also for the budget use. As I said, we are allocating up to 10 million Saudi riyals for this grant call. We intend to fund up to 20 two-year projects with this budget, which means 500,000 Saudi riyals per project. We have the other rules. Please read them and understand them and comply with them. These rules are not negotiable. As you go through your application steps, you will find a Biosketch template. Please submit your Biosketch as a PI. Also submit a Biosketch for each key personnel. The maximum length of each Biosketch is 5 pages. Please comply with that. The Biosketches are important to determine your eligibility and also to evaluate your research experience and its relation to the proposed work. I will go into a little bit of details in the Biosketch sections. The first section is the current position. All we need from you in this section is your academic title and your institution, and no more descriptions. In the next section, the education and training, please list your undergrad and grad degrees and where they were done. Also, list your postgrad training and where it was done and the dates for that postgrad training. Then, in the top publications, list your top 5 publications throughout your career, and they do not need to be relevant to the study in your proposal. However, in your main achievements section, list the ones that are related to the proposed study, including publications. They could include invited talks, patents or patent applications, workshops, abstracts. Then in the final section, in your Biosketch form, we would like you to list your past, ongoing, and potential future funding. In this section, please list the title for each grant you had before, you're having, or you expect to have. List the title, the major aims of the projects, the funding amount, and the dates or anticipated dates for funding. If the scientific aims in your application for this grant has an overlap with the other grants you are listing in this section, please indicate that clearly. And Hevolution will not fund a scientific aim that was already funded or being funded or expected to be funded by other grants. For the previous requirements, we provided some descriptions and details in the frequently asked questions, so please read that carefully. I have already spoken about the PI or multiple PIs and their roles. If your application has more than one PI, then this is a multiple PI application, MPI application. And you need to submit the MPI plan with your application. Use the provided template and follow the instruction in it carefully. And of course, submit the Biosketch for each PI. However, only the main PI information should be provided in the PI information section, and only the main PI must meet the eligibility criteria. Note that it is mandatory that at least 60% of the work efforts must be done in the main PI's lab. The experiments in your project may require transferring a significant amount of money from your institution to the other institution where the other PI is. This is called sub-award. Sub-award is a contract made between the two institutions where there is a need to transfer the significant amount of money to the sub-awardee. If your proposal has this plan, contact your institution and develop the contract using the provided sub-award template that we provided in the application and submit it with your application. You also need to submit the detailed sub-award budget with your application. The sub-award must not exceed 50% of the grant amount. However, if the multiple PIs or co-investigators are in the same institution and report to the same institutional official, then there is no need for a sub-award contract. This is necessary if you are sending significant amount of money from your institution to another institution. In the next several slides, I'll take you through the submission steps. You will be using a system called Proposal Central. It is a very user-friendly system, and it is available at the link shown in the slide, and it is also available at the links we provided with the request for application. Please come back to the slide to follow the indicated steps as needed. And if you have any questions or encounter any technical issues, please reach back to us and we will help you. First step, of course, is going to the site and creating your account. There are two ways to create an account. One, using your ORCID ID, which we encourage you to do so, using it, or you can do it manually, and it is self-explaining. You will enter some information and credentials, then submit and wait for the activation of your account. Once you have an account, log in, then go to the grant opportunities on the right side, in the top panel. Click on it, and in the search button, um, type Hevolution grants. Hevolution will appear to the left. Click apply, apply now, and this will take you to the site for this grant call, the grants for scientists in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. This page has all the components that you need to follow and fill in all the information and submit all the documents requested. In the title page, straightforward, your project title, answer some questions and submit. And the next page, you will find a number of documents already available there. The request for application, the full application instruction, the frequently asked questions, and a few other templates. Feel free to download these and go back to them, read them to refresh your memory and understanding of what is requested throughout. The next page is you need to enable access to others. If you wish to enable access to other PIs, if they exist, or other co-investigators, obviously they need to create an account, and you can use their account ID or their email to search for them. And you need to add them here and give them, specify if their access is view only, view and edit, etc. It is all clear there, and it should be a very easy process for you. Okay, in this page, all we need is the principal investigator information, and this is the main PI, the contact PI only. Fill in your information and submit, and fill in only the contact or main PI institution information in this section. And on this page is where you're assigning your key personnel for this project. So enter the name of each one of them, their role, and their email address, etc. Then you will be taken to the abstract page and keywords. The maximum number of characters for your abstract should be 2,000 characters. We expect at least one keyword. You have the choice to go up to 5 keywords if you wish. The next stage is the primary institution detail budget. In this one, please detail your budget. This includes the research cost, the reagents, the compensations. Only remember that the total compensation for all personnel should not exceed 20% of the grant amount. You could also fill in this form for more than one period. For example, period one could be year one, or whatever period one you think it should be. Fill it in, then move on to the very right of that page to period two and detail it. The next step, you need to provide the budget summary in the top. This is, with the numbers, but also you need to provide a written document that should not exceed 8,000 characters, with the budget justifications. Just please make sure that the detailed budget and the numbers and the justifications do match. Then you need to tell us if your research involves human subjects or materials from human subjects. You need to indicate that. If it is exempt from submitting an IRB, you need to explain to us. Speak to your IRB in your institution about the rules of exemption and provide the explanation. The next page, you will be taken to the application attachments. In the top, you will find the mandatory attachments. They are indicated there. Prepare all your documents, convert them into PDF, and attach them to the application. These include the specific aims, the biosketches, letters of support, bibliography, and other ones indicated in this section. In the bottom, you will also find the templates, the template for the sub-award, for example, the template for the multiple PI plan. If you have those in your application, if you are sub-awarding money, you need to fill it up using this template, sign the contract between the two institutions, and attach it to the application. Similarly, with the multiple PI plan, use the template and submit it with the application. After this, you'll be required to conduct an e-signature on the document as a whole. We recommend you print your applications and go through it in a hard copy. Then after that, you move into the validation step. So this is basically an automatic step to validate that you have completed all the forms and steps successfully and you are ready to submit. Then after all the validation is good and you've reviewed your application as a hard copy and you are ready to submit, submit your application. You will receive a confirmation message from pcsupport@altum.com. Make sure you add this to your safe sender list so it doesn't go to the junk box and you miss it. This slide lists the selection criteria before your proposal is considered for awarding. This is already in the request for application. Please read it carefully so you know what we are targeting for this grant program. Once you have submitted, the deadline is February 29th at 5 p.m. Riyadh time. All the applications will come to us, will be subject for administrative check to ensure completeness of the application. Then we will be sending this for an external peer review made of international experts in the field. If your proposal is successful and selected for funding, then you will be notified and you will be requested to submit the remaining documents such as the IRB approval or animal committee approval or any other clarification that we may need. Once all submitted and satisfactory, the funding will be transferred to your institution and you can start your research. So this is it. I hope you find this material useful and helpful. I hope it assists you to have a smooth and efficient application development and application submission process. I will be acting as the program officer for this grant. You've got my email here. Please reach to me with scientific questions or application requirement questions. You could also reach for the grants at hevolution.com for application administrative questions Um, and there are certain things that are outside of the program officer's scope. I cannot suggest ideas for your applications. I cannot participate in the writing or editing of your ideas, of course. I cannot provide you input on the experimental design. And I cannot disclose details of future funding opportunities, for instance. But if you have general scientific questions or general questions on the grant application requirements or some technical questions, please reach back to us and we are here to help you. We thank you for your interest in the grant program for Saudi Arabia in agent biology and geoscience. We thank you for the time you've given to listen to this material. This material is going to be available online. You can come back to it when you need. We wish you all the best with your application development and submission. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.